you started asking questions,
Mm.
and I think basically what keeps many people stuck in life in some kind of paradigm is that they're too scared to ask certain questions. Like, what did Jesus do between 12 and 30? Seems like a reasonable thing to want to
Mhm.
explore. Or why would loving God send people to hell for eternity? These questions are really important. But the interesting
Mm.
thing is that true spiritual freedom is actually on the other side of asking these really difficult questions. And on the other side of, for instance, the pain you suffered with the drinking and the psychiatric disorders and all of this. So, in a nutshell, do you believe that Yeshua was almost a spiritual scientist? Like he was coming with codes to help humanity understand their capabilities and actual strategies to help people connect with God on a deeper level. And what is the ultimate goal of that? Is it to bring the kingdom of heaven here to earth?
Yeah, I love that question. Absolutely, brother. Like, I think like his underlying heart and mission and intention from my perception was, that we are all one, that separation is an illusion. And he was a fully human and fully divine, just like us. And he was able to activate a certain level of remembrance. But he also said, what I have done, ye shall do and more. Right. So, and then he also says in Mark, heal the sick, words in red, raise the dead. Freely you have received, freely give. You shall do even greater things than me. And so I think his ultimate message was to help human beings remember who they really are. That love is the co-resonant frequency harmony of all the world. By this, all men shall know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. The whole law comes down to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, which is in everything, and love your neighbor. So I think like he had remembered and experienced, and he had embodied a certain level of frequency and remembrance, and that's what he was trying to spread, was this truth. Because and he had a heart for humanity. So yeah, I think he was an avatar who had remembered. And but what I love about Jesus was he hung out with prostitutes, he hung out with the homeless. There was no hierarchy. He wasn't trying to start a religion. He wasn't trying to be worshipped. He wasn't saying, hey, look at me. In fact, the only people he ever criticized on this planet that I'm aware of is the church pastors who are trying to create hierarchy, who are
Right.
wearing their fancy robes and making all these impossible set of rules. You brood of hypocrites. And he had a warrior archetype just like us. And it's interesting how, the through periods in time, like they've literally demasculated Jesus to a point where like the Bible Belt says, just be nice, just be nice. No, no, he had a warrior. He
Oh,
braided up a whip. I don't think he was whipping people, but he was whipping people, like, energies out of my father's house of, it's a house of
yeah.
prayer, and so I think he was fully human, fully divine, just like us. And he had a heart for humanity, and his message was love. And there would, that, there's no separation, and we are all one, and we all have this potential inside of us. And that's why I'm super um, grateful for you guys for putting on this event, because I think humanity's finally ready to start opening their mind, like you said, to this truth.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I really appreciate that and receive everything you said. Well, I couldn't agree more. And the interesting thing that I started thinking is, like you said, they've demasculated Jesus, and Jesus was always debating the Pharisees. Like he was a killer debater. He was
Mm.
flipping tables. He went straight into the Death Star, the second temple, where there was, blood everywhere from the animal sacrifices. It was a big profit scheme with the Roman Empire. He went straight into the belly of the beast and called out the corruption. So, I notice a lot in some of the more new age community where it's all love and light. And I do agree that everything is love. But is there a time and a place for speaking hard truths or calling people out? Like, where is the balance there? Are we
Mm.
called to have some strong boundaries and to say no. Like, what is your perspective on what love actually is, and how can it manifest itself in a variety of ways?
I love that question. Yeah, true love is not blind. Source love embraces all, eyes wide open, heart resolute, principle firm, right? And love and truth, there's layers to love. So I guess in that initial awakening, there's that love and light. Oh, and I think it's really important for people to feel that. Yes, God is love, and it is an emotional, sometimes love. But then the love matures. And just like in a deep relationship, you go deeper with God. And you start realizing love and truth are synonymous. And so, with all compassion to our new age community who's out there, running around with their shoes off thinking that's going to save the world, love, light, and clueless. And I'm not judging, because I went through that stage too. It's a stage.
Same.
It's a stage of remembrance. Love, light, and clueless. But it's not. No, it's not being blind. It's awareness. And that's what I started realizing is it's not this ascension path where I'm going to go, Jesus said, I am the vine, you are the branches. So I'm going to go up the branches, and I'm going to go up all the way up to this seventh dimension. And I'm going to be in this airy, fairy, light place all the time. No. That's not. He said, bring heaven to earth, in this world, but not of this world. I am here. I'm folding my laundry. I'm also a human being. Jesus wept. He sweat blood. He was a human being. And so being fully here and a feeling, and also being fully divine and understanding both at the same time, simultaneously existing right now. And the way I see it, brother, is those people who've taken a look and went to, literally, like you said, went to the belly of the beast. He went to the Hades, they call it. He went through stuff, and he took the keys, because once you go through something and you overcome it, you have the keys to the consciousness to help someone who's going through depression. You have the keys to the consciousness to help someone going through bipolar. You have a keys to the consciousness to speak from when you deprogrammed religion and became free. You can speak not from a book, but from your own experience, from the keys to the consciousness. And Jesus also went through that. He went to Hades, took the keys. And I think the people who are going to be able to, in divine neutrality, go into where spirit can say, hey, I need you to go into this area where it's going to be dense, like Jonah, and I need you to preach in front of these 5,000 people, right? If I'm not at a point where I've integrated my shadow, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm limited on my ability, my freedom. So I think it's not just love, light, and clueless. It's love, light, and being fully aware. And I'm at a point where spirituality is just awareness. It's being aware of what Jesus called the Father, consciousness, all that is, both light and dark, and seeing through the false evidence appearing real, but it's still seeing it, not being blind to it. And the truth will set us free. So I'm at a point where it's like truth and love are synonymous, and absolutely. I mean, here comes Jesus, walks into the church he grew up in, literally walks in there on their Sabbath day. And to the pastors, he starts preaching a new message and says, you brood of hypocrites. And the pastors he grew up with are so triggered, they form a plan to try to kill him. And that's what's happened. It's right there. And so, I think, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, that was wonderful. Yeah, it resonates so deep. You mentioned, what was the acronym you used for fear?
False evidence appearing real.
Can you expand on that concept, and like, what is the role? Fear is obviously basically, it's like Hasatan. It's almost the devil that is in direct, it's standing against us in our spiritual evolution. So what is your experience with fear, and what is the pathway for each of us individually to overcome fear?
Yeah, I love this question. Wow. Like, yeah, there were times when my personal experience where I was literally in bed, shaking, paranoid with fear. I could not leave my bed for 3 months.
Wow.
So that's been my experience with fear. Um, right? False evidence appearing real, but the truth will set us free. Um, and so literally there is, if we want to call it, the illusion of separation. But Jesus said, I pray that we might be all one as we are one, and we are all one. Love is the cohesive power of the universe. It's the glue of the universe. It's what holds my cells together, my sanity together, my family together. Literally, the backbone of the universe is love. It's what holds everything together. And that's the truth. Love is the only thing that is real. Everything is interconnected. Now, there's been, I won't go too deep into it, but there's been false artificial overlays, false light, holographic inserts, distortions of the epigenetic overlay or the ego. And so all of these different implants, hijacks, false light have been implanted into humanity, literally overlaying the real grid. And literally, it literally, when our children are trying to have positive thoughts, because the DNA is on a false spin on the brain of Mother Earth, the ley lines, they start having negative thoughts. They think they're separate. They think they're isolated. That's what cancer is, a cell that thinks it's separate, isolated. But
Wow.
these are all literally false evidence appearing real. It's not real. It's an overlay. It's a illusion of separation. And if you trace it back, there's a very specific reason happening from the first separation, which is when there was, if you want to call it, a war in heaven, where there was an accusation of source that you're not fair. And through repeated free will choice, there was an entity which literally separated itself from source through free will choice, and utilizing its knowledge of first creation physics created a distorted, if you're disconnected from the source of all energy, in order to remain immortal, you got to siphon, parasitize energy,
Wow.
right? Through false worship, through whatever military bases, through all these different things, right? And so that, and they've set up, utilizing their knowledge of first creation physics, a structure, a matrix, if you want to call it, a light system that is similar. World War I, World War II, World War III, a frequency on loop, false light, false timeline, right? And that's how they siphon energy, is through fear, false evidence appearing real, and there's elaborate systems. But yeah, love, and when and it's not about becoming something I'm not. I already am love. It's about literally deprogramming the things that I am not, what I was told I need to be, that I was told that I lack, the religious programming that I'm separate from God, all these different 7 to 11 generations of trauma and karma, right? Frozen light in the body, like so. Doing the work, yes, do the inner work, but it's really about just removing what is not real, so that you can literally just be you, and you are love in your natural essence. That's who we are.
Hmm. I love it. It hits so hard, and we can all relate to this, like the seeming distortions in the field. We all come across it every day, and sometimes it does appear to be very unnatural. Do you think there's negatively polarized beings that are like, what is the structure of this? Some people call it loosh farming. This entity, its desire or goal is to harvest our life force energy to some degree, so it could sustain itself. Because if it's cut off from source, it needs some kind of energy to sustain itself. So how can we protect ourselves? Aaron and I like to say faith is important in terms
Mhm.
of always remembering that God is good and God is love. Like that's the foundation, always coming back to that. But for someone who is struggling mentally with distortions or traumas, how would you advise someone like that to
Mhm.
go back to God's love?
Yeah, I love what you and Aaron say, right? Because what we fight, we become. What we judge becomes the shadow. What we resist persists. And this is the hero's journey. And there is a period of understanding. So love is connection, it's cohesion, it's connection. So what I would recommend is focus not on what you don't want, but on what you want. And what people really want is to remember that they are love and connection. And so there's going to be kind of a different tool that's going to help people connect in for a different season of consciousness evolution. So for some people, that's right now, that's religion, right? That's where they go to connect to the frequency of praise music and the pastor preaching, and that's going to serve some people for a certain level of evolution, but it can only.
Certainty.
Yep, and it's gonna, yeah, exactly. Structure, certainty, rules to follow, right? A structure, and that's their level of evolution right now, and that's great. But then they're gonna evolve and say, "Oh wow, there's more." And that box, the frequency fence, can no longer hold them. And it's like, "Oh, maybe I'll go to yoga," right? But it's about what does yoga even mean? It's union, connection of body, mind, and spirit. And then there'll be a next stage where, like, "Oh wow, I'm multidimensional. Okay, maybe I'll go to." This is what Jesus was doing, by the way, when he was traveling. A Kundalini. Oh, there's dimensions 1 through 9. Maybe that'll serve me for a while. And then one by one, all of the distortions that we are separate from each other is slowly starting to unravel. And the frequency fences that I used to keep myself in, like 3D only, no, it starts unraveling. You start realizing God is the energetic infrastructure that runs through all things and all people. How deep, how wide, how long is this love? I can never be separate from it. Even if I go to hell, I'll never be separate from it. And then the truth starts setting us free. And so, yeah, I would just say, like, for every different season of evolution, there's a different tool. And all it is a tool to help people remember that they're connected to God. They're not separate from God.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so based upon their, and that's love. Love is connection. Love is the cohesive power. And God is love. God is what connects everything together.
I love it. And it's such a great reminder to keep all these people in your heart, even if they're doing things you don't agree with. Everyone's at a different level of the journey, and they are just us.
Yeah.
It's just us split out. So it's the greatest reminder. And Jesus always taught us to love the least of these, to love our enemies, to bless those who curse us. And that is really seeing the kingdom of heaven. When you can genuinely love people, even if you're debating them or whatever. What's up, my friend? If you are enjoying this content, I would truly appreciate if you could do me a solid and click the subscribe button. This will help our channel grow and spread the good word. God bless.